Something fundamental has shifted in the last 2 years. The housing market didn't just change, it reorganized itself around one thing: capital. Investor tracking data from 2024 reveals a surge. Domestic funds, global buyers, private equity, all targeting the same thing: single-family homes. But here's what's different. These aren't house flippers looking for a quick profit. These are long-term portfolio builders with billion-dollar strategies. Now, nationally, large firms still own a relatively small slice of the pie. But zoom in closer. Look at specific cities, specific neighborhoods. That's where the story changes completely. Atlanta, Phoenix, Tampa, Charlotte. In these Sunbelt cities, investors aren't just participating in the market, they're dominating it. Cash offers, closed in days, no inspections, no negotiations. Ordinary families don't stand a chance. And this isn't just an American story. Across Europe, the same patterns are emerging. The UK, Ireland, Germany, the Netherlands. Institutional landlords are building massive rental empires, while everyday buyers face tighter lending rules and skyrocketing borrowing costs. What we're witnessing is a profound transformation. Housing is no longer a consumer market, it's an asset market. Homes no longer function primarily as places to live. They function as financial instruments in global portfolios. And for the first-time buyer, this isn't a tough market. It's an impossible one.
Why families can't compete. The economics of losing bids. Think about how the old housing market worked. Buyers compared savings. They compared income. Maybe one family offered a little more. Another had better credit. It was competition, sure, but it was human competition. That world is gone. Today, ordinary buyers aren't competing with other families. They're competing with entities that have access to billions in pooled capital, instant lines of credit, and automated purchasing algorithms. Let me break down what a typical first-time buyer faces right now. Mortgage rates near decade highs, wages that barely budge, down payments that require years of saving, and almost no homes on the market to choose from. So while that buyer is still waiting for loan pre-approval, while they're scheduling showings and hoping for callbacks, an investor has already sent a cash offer, above asking price, closes in 5 days. Recent data from 2024 and early 2025 shows monthly mortgage payments reaching levels we haven't seen in over a decade. Families are literally being priced out of qualification, not because they can't afford the home, but because the math simply doesn't work anymore. Meanwhile, rental demand keeps climbing, which makes single-family homes an incredibly reliable revenue stream for investors. This isn't a fair fight. This is structural exclusion. The rise of corporate landlords in specific cities. Now, let's clear something up. Despite what you might see online, corporate landlords don't own everything everywhere. That's not accurate. But here's what is true, and it's arguably more concerning. Where corporate ownership does exist, it completely reshapes life. City-level data from 2024 shows clear hotspots: Atlanta, Phoenix, Charlotte, Tampa, Las Vegas. In these cities, institutional landlords might only control a fraction of total homes, but they're not spread out evenly. They own clusters, hundreds, sometimes thousands of homes within the same metro area. And here's why that matters more than the national percentage. Because housing markets are local. When one landlord controls that many homes in one city, they don't just participate in the market, they influence it. Rent prices, lease standards, maintenance expectations, home values in surrounding neighborhoods, long-term housing supply. Families aren't being priced out by everyone. They're being targeted by strategic investment capital, technology, the silent middleman of the housing crisis. One of the most overlooked factors in the investor surge is technology. Updates from the 2024 proptech market reveal an entire ecosystem of tools that enable investors to outmaneuver human buyers at every turn. Automated bidding systems, instant property valuation tools, rental profit prediction algorithms, portfolio optimization dashboards, real-time acquisition alerts. Here's what that looks like in practice. A family looking for a home scrolls through listings manually. They schedule showings. They wait for responses. They try to figure out if a home is worth the asking price. Meanwhile, an investor receives algorithmic recommendations, sends automated bids, and closes deals within days. Technology didn't cause the housing crisis, but it mechanized it. It turned home buying into a speed game that ordinary people can't win. Life in investor-owned neighborhoods. Living under a corporate landlord is not the same as owning a home or even renting from a small landlord. Updated tenant experience studies from 2024 reveal key patterns across investor-owned properties. Higher fees, more rigid lease rules, slower maintenance response times, less flexibility when life circumstances change, and automated communication systems instead of human support. Some renters report stability and convenience, professional management, online portals, predictable processes. But others face a different reality. Rising fees at renewal, strict inspections, penalties for minor lease violations, difficulty reaching anyone who can actually make decisions. The experience varies depending on the company, the property, and the market, but one thing is universal: the loss of ownership opportunity. The knowledge that no matter how long you stay, how much you pay, or how well you maintain the property, you'll never build equity. You'll never own it. Can this trend be reversed? The future of homeownership doesn't depend on individual effort. It depends on policy, affordability, and structural reform. Housing policy discussions in 2024 and 2025 have centered around several key proposals: restrictions on bulk investor purchases, incentives and down payment assistance for first-time buyers, new investments in affordable housing development, tax changes targeting large institutional landlords, and zoning reform to increase housing supply and reduce regulatory barriers. Some of these reforms are already being tested in select cities and states. Others face significant political resistance from industry groups, investors, and local governments worried about tax revenue. But one truth has become impossible to ignore: the housing market will not correct itself. Without intervention, without policy changes, without structural reform, the trends we're seeing today will only accelerate. The question isn't whether we need to act, it's whether we will. The future: a world without homeowners. If current trends continue, 2030 may look drastically different from anything previous generations experienced. Fewer young homeowners, more long-term renters well into middle age, higher rents concentrated in investor-dominated zones, smaller inventories of affordable starter homes, suburbs transformed from communities of owners into portfolios of tenants. We are living through a historic shift, from the ownership age to the asset age. A world where homes appreciate, but fewer people own them. A world where neighborhoods glow with new construction, but families never settle. A world where renting is no longer a stepping stone to ownership, but a lifelong destination. This is not a prediction. This is the reality already shaping the rent generation. A generation that works hard, saves diligently, and still finds homeownership slipping further out of reach, not because they failed, but because the system changed. The American dream promised that hard work would lead to stability, to ownership, to a piece of something you could call your own. For millions, that promise is breaking.
And the question we face now is simple. Do we accept this new reality, or do we fight to change it?